Hello, BookTube, and this is another episode, I guess, of Bookshop Memories. Now, again, I must apologize because I have been absent this week. I thought the week was going to be good because I felt pretty good last Saturday. Did the live with Mark Richardson, and I felt pretty good actually compared to how I've been feeling. But then Sunday and so forth, all week, I've been extremely tired, and I still am, but I think I'm feeling slightly better. So, anyway, I thought I'd do another episode of this, of Bookshop Memories. And throughout, probably every episode, I've mentioned the words like Book Scout and I've had several ask me to do an episode on book scouting. So this is it, being a book scout. Now, there's many definitions for book scout. The original, I guess, definition really is for a publisher and finding authors for that publisher. That's not the kind of book scout I'm talking about. I'm talking about, the organization of book scouting. There's book scouting of Canada, book scouting of America, book scouting of England, where, it actually began. There, this little book, that talks about book scouting. And you learn, you go out into the wild, you're released into the wild, and you're to look for certain books, and then you get little badges for each type of book you get. And the biggest badge is for the little book scout to find and care for an antiquarian old book that might be a little wear on it from age. But there's the care that the book scout takes in this, and finding it a good home, and that's the biggest badge you can get for being a book scout. You know, yeah, and it's a great thing to learn. That people send their children. You get your little uniform as well for being a book scout, and yeah, it's just amazing how this how this develops, and develops the young person, um, and instills the qualities of a bookman or bookwoman, in that person. So yeah, so that's what a book scout is. So what? Oh, that's not the kind of book scout you thought. Oh, okay. Well, what can I say? Well, I suppose I could talk about, yeah, another kind of book scout where you go out and buy books at sales, thrift shop, charity shops, and then you take them to other booksellers, like to a bookshop, and you sell them for a little bit of profit, like you're a middleman. That's the book scout. Okay? Now I got it. Okay, yeah. So let's talk about book scouting in that way. So yeah, yeah, I was the book scout that did this right from early days. I would find stuff that I would pick up, and because I maybe thought I was interested in it, or read it and decided I didn't want to keep it, so I would take books occasionally to a bookseller, and I found that I was getting a little more money for things. So I would do this occasionally, but at times, especially when I went to university, where at times when money was very, very hard to get, and especially when I came back from the Middle East, from Jordan, and I wanted to try to continue with my education, but I could no longer get any more grants. Long story on that, but I couldn't even pay my rent. I was still determined to go to school. I was walking all the way back and forth to school, And how I sort of wound up buying food basically was buying stuff from one bookshop and literally walking around the corner to another bookshop and selling it for a profit. The best part was their dime bin of paperbacks, just this bin out in front of the shop. You go through, it's always was replenished, and there'd be boxes down below. And finding science fiction, like really good copies in condition material, paying 10 cents for it, walking it around the corner. I'd buy 10 of them, pay $1, and then I'd usually sell most of them for $1 a piece. So there you go. I turn $1 into $8 or $10. There's some groceries. I'd go to the grocery store, buy some groceries, go home and cook some food. And I didn't, sell everything. They didn't want everything. But then when things, progressed to me being able to then go to other booksellers, book sales, to charity shops. I would do that around the town, but in other places, I got to know what these, a couple bookshops wanted. One was a bit of a curmudgeon and didn't like the fact, knowing that I was paying a little less for a book, and then he has to pay more for it. But I tried to explain, you're sitting on your ass, and I'm bringing you stuff. I'm the one that's going out there, and I take the risk of whether you want to buy it or not. Yes, I'm making some money. You're making money. You can't make all the money. But he preferred to pay the prices off the people that were coming in that I was paying for them. But yeah, and it's sometimes not how life works. But anyway, the other place definitely wanted to expand, wanted more fiction, more science fiction, and history, nonfiction. So I supplied them with hundreds, if not thousands, of history books. Like I would just go and to sales, and just I generally books that I either knew, or just look at university press material and look at the books, and and just purchase them for whatever price. And I was getting a good price, so I was starting to make a living off of doing this. And that's how I parlayed it, I guess, in a way, would be through by the say I parlayed it into being a book business, because I started out with basically, I decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do with my book business. So I sold some books. I had $100 in books, Canadian dollars, $100. And then I went to book sales. I spent that $100. I listed the books online. This was the earlier days of Abe Books, Advanced Book Exchange, which is nothing like it used to be. But anyway, it's the first year, from that $100, I was able to make $20,000 in sales. Not bad, not bad at all. And then to get a little more money at the beginning, I sold more, so I'd keep it going a little bit. But yeah, and that's how book scouting worked for me. There'd be times in days, like I was living in Kitchener, Ontario, and then I'd go into Toronto, and there were other people going around doing the same type of thing, buying and selling books. And there was this one little guy. I remember him. Nice guy from Latin America, and he was in Canada. And I loved it that he always called new books shiny shinies, and sort of he didn't have any sort of fixed abode. He was well, let's just say that he wouldn't do well if he was in the U.S. at the moment. That's for sure. at least I guess he could, throw books at ice or something like that. Anyway, let's not get to that. But yeah, so I would go around with him to his little haunts and buy books, and he always had these little places that most people would never get into, where like the sorting areas of these bigger charity shops, and a lot of times the people there would just have a big dumpster and they'd be throwing out books. So they allowed him to go in and get stuff, and he would get some really good stuff. So as I say, I went with him and went to the soup kitchens to eat, and he had a little. Eventually, he had a trailer from a semi, a trailer that he rented, and he would put his books in, and he lived in for a large part of time, for a large part of his time. And he would also, he had a bicycle that he would go around on. And I remember he at one time, one night that I was there, like I said, I said in one thing that I got into a book sale as a friend of an alumni, and I also at one time became the alumni. And I took him as my buddy, and he had as I say, a bicycle. I'm sort of chuckling because it's amazing what he did. Like he carried all these boxes, like on the back. He had a little rack on the back above the wheel, like boxes of books, and then on his handlebars a huge box, and he had basket, and then he dragged along beside him a two-wheel dolly that he strapped boxes on. So yeah, he was a character. He was a character. And sadly, I found out he passed away. He died while I was in the UK. I really liked him. But yeah, and other things. I did get expensive books at times. I tried to either try to sell those privately for people, because I did get occasionally people asking me, can you look for this book? And I started doing that, especially going to university, professors, where I had religion culture professors that they were trying to find books that either because they were too expensive, and a lot of them wanted these as reference copies. So a lot of times the condition didn't matter too much, and I found a lot of stuff for my professors, and they were happy. They were happy to get them. So yeah, so that's more or less most of my experiences. That's in general, I guess you would say, my experiences at book scouting. And so that tramps all across Toronto, Southern Ontario, when I had someone else that was driving with me, and definitely uh, throughout the northeast of the United States, into Quebec, and as far as Oklahoma and Oklahoma City, um, that I went, and all points in between. Anyway, hopefully I'll be back a little normal for these, and this is a long one, but yeah, no, those were fun days. Let's put it that way. But yeah, hopefully I'll be back on a normal schedule, trying to maybe record some of these ahead of time. If there's any other aspect you want to know specifically, then do feel free to ask in the comments, and I'll see what I can do, if I can drag out from this old gray matter the memories of X, Y, and Z. And also too, I am due for a sort of health update, and sort of life update video as well. So hopefully within the next week I can do that. But thank you very much, BookTube. Take care.